morning, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, morning.
Thank you so much for the session. It's nice to finally meet you. So, I just wanted to please shed a little bit of light on how to maintain the selflessness and the drive to make Africa better, and then how to balance it with financial sustainability. Because for a social entrepreneur, right, especially someone that is putting everything, like there's no backup, and we know that's how it goes most times for Africans, right? We don't have the old social security, social nest thing. So how do you balance wanting to do better for people, for planet, with wanting to make profit as well, so you don't come across as being too profit oriented? Thank you.
Excellent. Very, 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 very important question. Firstly, there is nothing wrong to make profit, but that profit should be a consequence of an action to solve problem. And let me use that word again. Your original intention should be to turn a challenge into an opportunity. And the truth is that any challenge that is turned to an opportunity brings you money. Every challenge is a disguised opportunity, is a disguised profit. So the question should be, how do you turn your passion to profit? Now should be using that passion to do things. Because let me tell you from what my life experience is, those who do well and do it with all their heart in a selfless way will find someone who will support them. And one of the biggest ways is, you ask the question of financial sustainability. Actually, the biggest sustainability is partnerships. People who are passionate and willing and aligned with your idea to work with them. Money will come and go, but people who are aligned with your vision and with your idea, and you can engage them to work with them, is the biggest sustainability. But those people are not those in those big offices. They are the community. When a community buy your idea, you have a constituency. And once they buy your idea, it means that you have the end users, the consumers of your product, and you are in business. But I am not brushing off finances. The easiest way for Africa, and especially African youth, to be able to develop a very solid, robust financial base is to engage in cooperatives. And I've argued this so many times, I've written about it. You guys can check my blog. And we are doing this in Uganda and Kenya and Cameroon, and we want to also start this in Nigeria. What happens is this: every African community have a cooperative. Well, whether you call it microfinance, whether you call it Njangi, as they call it in Cameroon, where I come from, I believe in Nigeria, there is surely a name to it. In Kenya, they call it chamas and all that sort of stuff. When people come together, contribute little and use it to do common good, there are also cooperatives that are structures that you can register and be able to come with a team of willing and like-minded people, so that at least you can even take a little loan there and start to do something and pay back. And that is an easiest way for young people. And that's really one of the easiest ways that I think that if you're waiting only for donor money, you will never get it. And even if you get it, you will not be able to drive your vision the way you want, because we'll be against a particular thing to do. Am I saying that you should not go for donor? That's not what I am saying. And I want to really stand very corrected today. I am saying the biggest sustainability is to leverage on systems in which you can be able to have access to, and you can be able to use it to drive your transformational change without necessarily having to have bottlenecks to make you even lack that self-belief. It therefore means cooperatives are actually the easiest entry point to ensure financial sustainability. And the easiest thing to do is to team up with willing, like-minded people to engage and register in a cooperative, so that any little resources you put in there, you can then be able to take it to develop your product and build your name. And most of the cooperatives, even where I come from, what is actually the biggest guarantee is your social capital, your history in community, and even those who are in that circles or chamas. So that is the way to go. How do you maintain selflessness? The purpose of life is to be useful. And that is what a lot of people don't understand. Because I told you guys in the discussion today how I discover my own purpose. And up till today, My first degree was in physics and education. I was actually trained to be a teacher, but I never ever lose focus on what I wanted to do. My master's degree was in environmental science and international relations, and my PhD was on climate change policy. But I've not lost focus on what there is a difference between certificates and purpose. Purpose is what do you want to do that touches lives? Because the purpose of life is to be useful. But you must develop that passion to do it that gets you out of bed each and every morning to say, I will do it with or without money, and the money will come. When you are passionate about something and you give your best and do it, but don't bury your head in sand and think that you don't need ideas. No, you need ideas. You need to engage. You need also people who can inspire you. Look up to mentors where they can mentor you to inspire and challenge you, but challenging to inspire, not challenging to pull you down. Any other question?
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Balkis, please kindly go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much, sir. It's really an honor meeting you, and it's been a very powerful session. So my question is, you said any idea that doesn't address community challenges has failed. So my question now is, when you have that passion, you have that drive, and you're running a course, not really because of the profit, but your primary aim is to actually address those challenges in our communities, and then you keep getting backlash because the people you're doing it for don't really haven't accepted it yet, because from, just like you said, those bodies and entities haven't approved it, So my question is, how do you keep forging ahead? You have the passion, but how do you keep driving your course when your main target audience are not willing to accept it yet because they haven't gotten the approval from specific bodies?
It's like you're asking a political question, right? Because you are not coming out clear. When you say haven't approved, maybe just shed some light so that I get. But I'm trying to get what you're saying, but I just want to understand that dimension.
Upcycling, and I make products from solid waste items. Now the idea is for low income earners, average income earners, people basically to embrace this course and also patronize the brand, to accept it and adopt it. But then most people don't really want to. They'll tell you it's a really good idea, it's something I love, but they don't want to embrace it because they'd rather import products, furniture products, for example, from, let's say, China or Turkey or anywhere else. So how do you have that passion, you want to actually address this issue, but how do you get past this? How do you address this issue of non-acceptance for your target audience?
A very important question. And that's why in my ending, I did that intentionally, telling you guys, you will face challenges. You need to be prepared for that. And challenges are opportunities for you to grow and learn. And I said, you will see those you thought were your supporters abandon you, neglect you. That you will face. That's the truth. Why does that happen? You should ask that, or you need to have an answer to that first. And I think it's all the questions so far are excellent. Is we hate one another so much in Africa. We need to accept that. We hate one another. We hate progress. Of course, I'm not generalizing that everybody hates, but that is the bulk of our continent. Hatred, selfishness. Selfishness is too much. And because of that, when you bring an innovative solution, an innovative idea to solve a problem, not everybody will embrace it, especially those who are doing alternatives that are. So why are you going to them? That is not your target. So you have already made a wrong decision in going to the wrong people, rather than going to actually the mother who is suffering and buying charcoal, which is costing her, and that is also costing herself. Go with a sample of that solution and even deliver for free for that mother to even become your market voice. So what happens in driving a vision, because from an idea, you need to develop a vision of where you want to go, is that you must be flexible and sharp to recalibrate anytime you face a challenge. You pull back to the drawing. And that's why the issue of aspect of mentors become very important. And I think the organizers of this, they did an amazing job. This is actually part of the biggest mentorship that I think they should continue with this, and you have my full support. In that a lot of people have ideas and they face challenges and they keep silent with those challenges and they give up. But those challenges provide an opportunity for you to recalibrate. Let me just give an example of briquettes. Your target of producing briquettes should not be those who are producing charcoal, because you are in competition with them. And you are bringing a product that will disincentivize their own product not to be obtained. But you need then to take your product right to the people who are in need and even give them for free at the moment, if need be, and work with them. That's why I made it very clear that the community is your biggest market. They're also your motivator and they are your constituency. Once they accept your idea, and the idea should be to make them be better off, then they become your fighters. That's what I have learned. When I'm talking community, your community must not only be your village. Even the work that we do, Africa is a community. It could just be an idea to inspire people. So to have that in mind and always be prepared that anything you tell, and I've written this. I wrote an article yesterday about 2 days ago about Africa's culture. And I made a case. Our culture has not evolved, but times has evolved. One of the biggest challenge with our culture is the fact that we do not believe in ourselves, especially when it comes to innovations and ideas that can transform, unless it comes from elsewhere. And that has perpetuated even up to this generation. But how do we do that? We need to find alternatives. And I said very clearly, you do not fight existing realities. If you fight, you will not win. What you do is you develop new models and innovations that makes existing realities obsolete. That's how we'll beat this nonsense across this continent. You don't fight, if you fight, you will not win, because you are fighting a status quo, an institutionalized way of doing things, of selfishness, of hatred that has been institutionalized. What you do is you develop different approaches that will make things work. Not necessarily with those people, then they will follow you. Africans do not follow ideas, they follow reality and action. Where the action has worked. I'll stop there for now. Any other question? Did I answer your question?
Thank you so much.
Were you inspired? Yeah, this is about passion and inspiration. Excellent. Good. Next question. Please use the moment. Use the moment and have. You're welcome.
Jamil, please draw up. Kindly ask your question. Jamil. Jamil, can you hear me? Okay, I think he cannot hear me, but then he dropped this question in the conversation chat, and it says, what is the best strategy to maintain one's passion in the middle of financial instability? What is the best strategy to maintain one's passion or an idea in the middle of financial instability?
The first failure is when you tie your passion to money. Then you failed. Money will not be there all the time. That's not passion. Passion is not about money. Passion is about you doing something to solve a problem. Money becomes a consequence. I have said this so many times, and this is from my life experience. Money becomes a consequence. I am excited to see young people get jobs, but not jobs that they're employed by someone. I am excited to see young people create their own enterprises, develop their own climate action enterprises, and own it themselves. Is that for me to make money? No. Because I know that when they turn those challenges into opportunity by developing the enterprises to produce briquettes, to develop solar dryers, to come up with different ideas of turning waste to this, they will automatically be reducing the challenges that we have, and we'll be creating more opportunities and jobs for others. That's my satisfaction in it. Africans are developing African solutions for African problems. I'm just giving as an example, but what am I getting from that? If I say, what am I going to get from that? That's already a disincentive, because I will not get it. If you say, oh, I will get money out of that, no, you will not. But money will become a consequence. So if you are today setting up your own company, which I hope all of you have your own companies, which simple enterprises, startups, and you registered it, and now you are doing briquettes, just for example, your hope is that I really want, of course, I will make money out of it, but my intent is to prove that my product works. And I want this mother to give a testimony, really to show that she's no longer suffering from lungs infection or respiratory because she has given up charcoal and she's using my briquettes and she become my own story. That to me is self-fulfilling in that I've touched a life. But I know that as others start to see it, of course, they will buy my briquettes. But the buying is a consequence of a good product, and that product intention was to solve a problem. So if you tie your passion to something that is not within your control, then definitely you fail before you start. But if you tie your passion to something that is within your control, which is your idea, which you can control in terms of how you can operationalize it, and you operationalize it to touch lives, then it's in your control. And money will come as a consequence. Because I've said this, money is a means and not an end. It's part of a means and not an end. And I've tweeted this, for those of you who follow me on Twitter, if you want, you should. I said, if you give $1 trillion US today to a person who doesn't have a work attitude, the work will not be done. That's why in the continent of Africa, over $30 billion US has come to this continent in the past 10 years to address food security issues. Why do we still have 257 million people going to bed hungry? Your guess is as good as mine. If money was the solution to problems, why is Africa still having challenges when each and every year billions come into it? So my point is, when you tie your vision to passion and purpose, money automatically become a consequence. And I've said, for example, I guide youth, and if you take Uganda, Kenya, yeah, even Nigeria, where they've been guided to develop solar dryers. They never started with money, but today they're in money. They're fabricating those solar dryers. They're distributing them and selling them to mothers in villages. And where the mothers don't have money, they're opening up drying centers where you come with 1 naira, 2 naira, 1 shilling, 2 shilling, you dry. And that is how you start. But they are solving a problem of post-harvest losses. So my point is, do not tie your vision and purpose with money. Passion, you should not be passionate because of money. Money will come as a consequence. I hope you got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But it was a good question. It was a good question that you asked. I think the question is relevant to so many across the continent, because I think there is a misnomer in the continent, which I think if you read my book, I don't know whether you've read it, I made these arguments in it, that one of the arguments that I think has not been taught in schools is that we were never, and I said it even in the discussion today, is when you look at post-independent Africa and pre-independence, post-independence was never structured around empowering the citizenry to self-believe and build their skills so that they become the custodians of the very resources that Africans fought to preserve for themselves. But instead, they formulated a development approach which was materialism and selfishness and hatred, that me, I eat alone, then that's enough, and you are on your own. And that has transcended up till today, whereby good success with money rather than success in touching lives, and then we put materialism as the higher element rather than a legacy. And that has been the biggest undoing for the African continent. So what my argument had been, unless we instill passion, because passion, you can turn passion to profit. And I've argued that in the book and how you can do it very practically. Then we will continuously have elites dealing with elites, and those who would never have even a place to voice themselves, never to have that opportunity. So what I think you guys can be those ambassadors of focusing your vision in solving challenges in communities, and make those communities who are the voiceless and become the voice for them by showing that it is possible, and inspiring even those young ones in those communities to see that it is possible. Not always looking up to these ukoju, as they say in Kenya yet. Ukoju in Pidgin English, they say it's too much now. So something like that. And knowing that everybody is capable of doing something. So my point is, money can't buy passion. Money cannot buy dedication. And when I talk passion, I'm not talking passion juice in supermarkets. It's that flame inside that burns when it is ignited. And with passion, you can make money. But with that passion, passion cannot be tied to money. It must be tied to a solution to solve a problem. And as a result of doing that, if you take Mark Zuckerberg, who is a billionaire today, they were not developing, the idea of Facebook was not for them to make money. They wanted to see how can students come together to discuss issues around their studies. And that finally ended up in a forum which would later on got transformed now to become Facebook. If you look at these, that's how people started, that's how they started. So to solve a problem, there was a problem of communication. How do we come together? Can we have a group that we can come together, share our ideas and do all those sort of stuff? That's how billionaires, they seize opportunities, challenges, and turn them to opportunities. So if the focus is on turning a challenge to an opportunity, the money will come as a consequence. It's the same question like corruption. Someone told me that corruption is the biggest problem in Africa. I said, no, corruption is a consequence of a failed system, a failed value system, because what I'm talking here is about values, values of hard work, of dedication, of respect, of humility, that you can become anything and become rich if you work hard without necessarily having to pull others down or have to steal to be rich, because you can focus your energy and your passion and develop it around challenges that you can turn to opportunities and become rich. But that was never inculcated into our fabric of development and even into our educational system. Corruption now became a consequence because of selfishness, because of hatred, and because of these attitudes of individualism. And it's now been institutionalized. So you get what you give. What you put in, then you get the output. And how do we reverse it? By making people self-believe that you can become what you want without necessarily having to go through that unorthodox way.
Thank you very much for that. Jamil says thank you, and he really appreciates that. Okay, Ademola James Ademuyiwa, I can see your hands raised. Please kindly unmute yourself to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate this section. Sir, please, I want to ask on now having a burning passion, having a passion to solve a particular problem in the community, and coming out as a startup, okay, like being the first person that birthed that particular passion, how can one communicate it to get the appropriate team that will not just be driven by, okay, I want reward from this for within the so time like this? How can someone try to work in communicating with team that will also see into that passion to work it out towards a sustainable environment? Thank you, sir.
Very good question. And I think it builds back to what I was saying. Very good question. Thank you very much for that. The reality is that, first of all, I have said this so many times. We are a continent with over about 1.2 billion citizens. So over 60% is youthful. So we're talking about 500, 600 young people. And what you notice, and I work with young people, that's my passion. That's not part of my TOR. I do this as part of my passion, and I explain to you guys why I do it. most of the young people are very selfish. And that is why when I was discussing self-discovery and passion, you guys earlier, I said, you will face challenges. You will, at some point, see those you thought were your biggest supporters disappoint you. And I stress on one word, willing. Work with the willing. And if you remember, I said underlying it, and I said, you do not necessarily need to have a big team to succeed. You rather have you and one or two people, and if they're not willing, you better try to nurture your idea even on your own and try to get people who are willing. The truth is that you will meet the people who want success now, not even tomorrow. Now they want money now. They say, bring the money now. We want them now. So nobody this talk where would they talk? So it makes sense. We need money. And those are not people who you can grow around. So what I think should actually be an offshoot of this discussion is you must find those who have a common goal and a common vision, or who are willing to do things, not necessarily for self-aggrandizement or self-gratification, but to touch others' lives. And you might not find a lot of them. But that doesn't stop you. But when you prove your point with a solution, they will follow. That's one thing you guys will discover. I'm a living history. This one, he wants to say be waiting. He wants to show that he's ABC. No, the strategy to that is start with what you have and do it so well that it becomes the talk of the town. Even those who dropped out and wanted to pull you will want to join, but don't really bother much about them. Your focus should be the end users, those mothers in the villages who are suffering, those young kids who need an opportunity to read at night but cannot because they do not have access to electricity. That should be the motivation, and work with the willing. It's not going to be easy, and that's why I said you need to also surround yourself with good mentors. One of the biggest dilemma for the continent is that there are very few mentors. And that, I argue this sometime, that if you look at our young people, their mentors are those who fly in aeroplanes or who drive big cars. So we use optics rather than logic. We are more accustomed to optics rather than common sense. And optics have been what we look up to as a continent, especially young people, and call those people mentors. No, a mentor should be someone who should guide you, who should direct you, who can refine your idea, who can challenge you and say, no, this is not what you're supposed to do. Stop it. This is the right way to go. Who can support you with ideas and any kind of support. That's what we lack in the continent. So when you call someone your mentor, it's not just someone who speaks big grammar. No, that's not a mentor. It's not just someone who will call to say, hi, how you doing? No, it's someone who can, what have you done today? I want that by Friday, tell me what you have done. I want to guide you because we need to reach here and here. Who can also even help you to assess opportunities. Those are the kind of men, because mentorship should be an active engagement to get someone to the final point. And that final point should be your unborrowed vision. What do you want to do? And how do you want to reach there? He helps you to reach there. And that is an error that most of the young people do. Optics sometimes, which derails. So the answer to your question is very simple. Work with the willing, and where there are no willing, continue and try to search for the willing, but have someone who can guide you, because alone you cannot do it. But I believe there are some willing youth, but there are also some who are terrible. I'm sorry to say, but I'm also a youth myself. Youthfulness is ideas, not age.
Okay, thank you very much for that, sir. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Jonathan. Mr. Jonathan, please kindly turn on your video and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I've just been through about this splendid presentation, and it taught us so much fire burning, and I believe that I'm taking away a lot of things, and I will use for my own benefit and also the benefit of my team and my country as well. But you know, this issue about passion, you know, something that's actually to my heart. I always have passion for what I do and what I'm into. But you know, when you have passion and you have an idea, you want to serve the community, you want to make sure you do it to impact the larger community. But the acceptance issue is key and is something serious. So what strategy you think is needed that you can use to make sure that your idea that is being translated through your passion can be done or can be accepted or can be taken as something good for the community or for the sector of the society that you serve? You know, what strategy for in case in terms of acceptance of the idea?
So was that a comment or was it a question?
It's a question. I wanted you to get some strategies that we can use so that the idea that we have, that problem may be new in our society or community, that can be accepted at a stage or at a pace where you will actually feel that indeed you are doing what you are called to do and you have the passion to do.
Great, thank you very much. You see, the reality is this. I know that sometimes we get very impatient when we are not getting what we want, but life is not a linear process. And having passion is one aspect, because there are three aspects. So you have, there needs to be passion, purpose, and then unborrowed vision. You must then have passion, because the purpose of life is to be useful, and I've been saying this. But useful for what? To turn a challenge into an opportunity. But for you to do that, you need passion, that thing that burns inside you and really want to do it. You want to read, to understand. You want to get out of your way to do it. But to do it, how? You want to do it, yes, you want to turn that into, to achieve what? That's not your vision. So and that vision is within that, what is driving you. So passion becomes the fuel that drives you. It is what drives you. But driving you towards something that is useful, that's purpose. Then to a point. So if you want to say you want a socio-economically food secured community, or food secured Nigeria, or food secured Africa, how do you reach there? What becomes your mission each and every day is you need to foster partnerships, you need to engage people, you need to use different ways to come up with different things and continuously engage and connect and connecting the dots around food systems and all sort of stuff. One of the best strategies to deal with the challenges that you will face in terms of rejection, in terms of obstruction, is first of all to ask yourself, to prepare yourself that that's what you're going to get. And that's reality. That's what you're going to get when you step out there. Those who will actually be against your idea will not be those you are about to serve. And I am talking this from my experience. It will not be those mothers down there in the villages who want a solar dryer or who want briquettes to cook their food. It will be those whom you have thought that you are selling the idea to them to encourage you. And that is why you need to choose who you sell your idea to. And don't even sell your idea to people who are not going to complement and add value to it. But in the society, what you will suffer hatred and selfishness. I mean, I am an African. I grew up here. I know how this thing is. Hatred, even in workplaces. But what you need to do is you must become your own person. What I call, you must develop a thick skin to be driven more by what you do and do best, rather than to be pulled down with the nitty-gritties of gossip and tribalities and all those sort of stuff. Those things just take away energy. So you alone cannot do a lot, but you with like-minded and willing people can do much more. Like Mother Teresa will say, I alone cannot, but I can be like a stone that causes ripples in an ocean. So when you start, and one thing with an idea that I have noticed with most young people is you want to go big when you have not started small. Start small, but think big. Start small while thinking big. It is very, very important, and start in a willing community. One of the strategies, start in a willing community, not in a community that will reject your ideas because of tribe or because of religious issues, or because of this. Start in a community that will embrace your idea and then use that as a case study to project that this is what we did, this is how we did it, these are the number of people who have benefited, and others will come singing hallelujah to take it from you. That's the kind of continent. So Having a brilliant idea is one aspect, having passion is one aspect, having purpose is one aspect, but you must be realistic to the realities and of contextual realities. I call them contextual realities. And the contextual realities are you will meet hatred, you will meet jealousy, you will meet selfishness, you will meet individualism. How do you deal with those? Steer off them and work with the willing.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We really do appreciate that. Something that I've taken from your session today is passion is the currency of now. Passion is the flame that burns when it is ignited, and it can also be quenched when ignored. So finally, please, let's keep the flame burning. Let's keep the fire burning in us. Thank you very much, sir. Your session has been insightful. It has been educative, and it has as well been informative. Guys, let's say a very big thank you to Dr. Richard Munang.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, Doctor.
Thank you.